boys and girls, and a greeting to all the brothers around the world of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, of which Goodwill is the monarch. I am here this evening. It is my distinct privilege and pleasure to have on the program today my esteemed brother in Alpha Phi Alpha, my Spring 90 Sands, and my number seven brother, author, public speaker, prophet, entrepreneur, Afghan creator, and now app creator, Darrius Jerome Gourdine of Beta Chapter Howard University. How you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm good. I'm good. Tired, but I'm good.
But we all know tired moments find us a delightful treat, do we not?
Delightful treat.
I that came out, didn't it? That came out all the way out.
It just rolled out. It just,
It rolls off the tongue. Rolls off the tongue. Well, we're here today. The reason that I have you on here today, brother, you reached out to me a while back. Brother Gourdine and I met. I'm gonna have him talk a little bit about himself, but I'm gonna steal a little bit of your thunder from your intro. Um, this was back in the days of, I think, Black Planet, maybe. MySpace didn't exist. For those of you that are young enough, you brothers that are young enough to remember a time when MySpace did not exist, Facebook didn't exist. None of that existed. It was like Yahoo Chat and Black Planet. And I kept hearing all this rumble about this online soap opera, a written soap opera called As the Sands Burn. And of course, the title made my ears prick up. And then I was even more excited to hear it was a brother that was writing it. So I would follow and follow. And then Facebook came along and I made sure I was like, yo, who's the guy that read the soap opera? And it was like, oh, that's Darrius. And then come to find out that we crossed at the same time. So we have that distinct pleasure. And we also have the distinct pleasure of being the jewels of our line. And so we've known each other either through third parties or communication. When were you doing As the Sands Burn?
Man, that thing launched in 1997, and it ran through 2004, and then I picked it back up in 2006, 2007, something like that. So it's been a minute, man. It was a long time ago.
Yeah, so that's about right, because that's around about the time I got a computer and I discovered the internet. And then it come on, and then the page take 8 days to load up.
Right.
We already getting love on the YouTube chat here from Pink Cookies. For those of you that are watching, thank you very much for joining. My name is Anthony Handy. Spring 1990, number 7, Delta Eta Chapter, the 95th House. May 26, 1990, 7:38 p.m. and 43 seconds. Thank you very much.
Pink Cookies is a Zeta, Spring 90 Zeta.
Okay. All right. I see you, Spring 90. Did you drop the link in the Spring 90 group?
I did not. Let me do it real quick.
Okay. Pink Cookies, if you on Facebook right now, if you do us a favor and drop this link in the Spring 90 group, that way we can keep the conversation going. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. But this is why I got you here today, brother. So I guess it was right after convention. It was right after the convention. And you reached out to me. She got you covered. She said she's on it. You reached out to me and talked to me about a unique opportunity that came your way. So why don't we start there, and then we'll roll into how the whole app came about.
Okay. So let's see. Where do we start? Man. It's like
You actually had been developing the app before the general convention.
Oh, yeah. So what happened was with the app, it's been honestly, for my 8 or 9 years. So I traveled to various cities for the Alpha conventions selling my books. I've been writing the Jewel series. That thing came out in 2006. Right. So I've been selling that book for quite a long time. So I go to regional conventions, I go to national conventions, and I sell the book. And so over the years, I have asked brothers, hey, man, give me a fact about your chapter that I wouldn't know. If I didn't go to your school or I don't live in your city where your grad chapter is, tell me something about your chapter. And so they would say, my chapter, we've got the first Black man to be a mayor of the city, or, my chapter, we have an entrepreneur who did this. So my chapter is an alpha man who did that. And I would just take these notes down. And so over the years, I've been collecting these facts. So what I decided to do this year was to develop an app. So on Founders Day, December 4th, 2021, this app will be available. You can download it on your phone. And then every Tuesday, I'm going to drop one of these facts that I've been collecting over the years. And I've got some extremely interesting facts. And so each Tuesday, and I chose Tuesday because the fraternity was founded on a Tuesday. So
wait. You gotta say it right. On an ice cold Tuesday. I'm sorry. So yeah, no flashback for PTSD whatsoever.
So every Tuesday, a new image will drop into the app, and it will be one of these facts that I've collected. So literally, I'm teaching alpha history every single week. Now, right now, I did a count. If I drop one fact every week, I can drop enough facts to go 4.5 years without repeating one. So I definitely have a lot of information, and it's some things that if you didn't go to that school, how would you know?
Right.
You just wouldn't know. It isn't that you don't know your history. It's just you didn't go to that school. And I mean, some of these things that brothers have shared with me about their chapters is amazing. One brother told me that there are more city, street names, buildings, and bridges in Jacksonville, Florida, named after alpha men than any city in the country.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
How do that? I wouldn't know that. I'm not from Jacksonville, Florida. You know what I mean? So it's stuff like that you'll learn that will, help you in understanding alpha history. And, because most alphas know their history. We know general stuff. Dr. King was an alpha. Thurgood Marshall was an alpha. Jesse Owens was an alpha. We know that. But these are things that you probably wouldn't know. I like that cup. Where'd you get that cup from?
There's a brother of mine that does engravings, and he does these engraved cups. It might be the same guy I'm talking to right now. That's right. This brother also does cup engravings. If you want one of these, you can get it. We had these made. I think all of my LBs got one of these. We also do. I wish you had kept the other shirt on so we could throw that out there. The I Am Spring 90 shirts.
Wait,
of course you do. I mean, this brother, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, this man should change his first name to Nipsey because he definitely hustles. I forgot when it was that you dropped the concept behind those, developed all of those, and we have they come in different colors and styles for each of the D9 organizations. The I Am Spring 90. So if there's any Spring 90 out there looking and watching right now, or if you're watching the replay, please, by all means, go into the Spring 90 group, get with Darrius here. He will get you squared away. He just dropped a new one. It's a sport style with the nice sport stripes around the sleeves. So he keeps it pushing. He definitely keeps it pushing. And Okay, Diana Ross, we get it with your 1800. I'm giving you a hard time. Also is the author of these books right here. He came up with I don't want to say fictionalized, but he came up with, based on the facts and the history that we know about the founding of the fraternity, he wrote a dramatization of the founding of the fraternity in 3 parts, one of which was, if you could have a conversation with the 7 jewels in an open forum, what would you ask them? And so from that was born Jewels, the town hall meeting. Got brothers together to take these pictures to represent each of the jewels. Rest in peace to the brother that was the model for one of these. Which brother was that passed away recently?
Yeah, my man, Howard Chris Franklin passed away. We just had a funeral for him 3 weeks ago in D.C. One of my good brothers. I mean, just a great friend. Talented brother, musician, had his own band, jazz band, and COVID took him out. So he was one of the brothers that I featured in that story. I took actual brothers and put them in a story with the founders. And they had a very candid conversation about a lot of topics. And Howard was one of the guys that I included because Howard was so passionate about the fraternity. So I wanted to put him in the story. and unfortunately he passed away. And so to honor him, I actually did a 100 book giveaway. I said, for any brother that does not have the book, or anybody in general doesn't have it, first come, first serve, hit my inbox. I'll send you a signed copy. And in 15 minutes, I was out. I had 100 people. I mean, literally 15 minutes later, I had 100 people in my inbox. Brother, I want a copy of that book. And I signed them all up, shipped them all out. So rest in peace to my man, Howard Kingfish Franklin, and a very unique brother. We won't see another one like him.
Farewell, little brother.
Yeah. Yep.
So, man, look. I know you touched on the COVID, and we're not even going to talk about whether you did or you didn't. Just please make sure you take care of yourself. We are at the age, especially those of us that are spring 90 and older, where we're going to start to see more of our peers leaving here than we did when we were in our 20s. So please just make sure. I don't care about none of the this or that. Just make sure that you're taking care of yourself. COVID has been hard on all of us. Make sure you do a mental check on yourself, because some of you all have been at home for the last year and a half, yours truly included. Just make sure you take care of yourself. That's all I got. Now I'm gonna come back to this app. So are there any other features that this app does, or is that basically it? Or are you going to develop it any further to have any other features?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a special section in the app called Did You Know? And that section is dedicated to facts specifically about the founders. There's a lot about the founders that I know most brothers don't know, only because it's not taught. We teach the founders and their occupations, right? When you become a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, you're taught the founders' names and their occupations, which is fine. But when they founded the fraternity, they didn't have occupations. They were college students. Right. So there's a lot that's missed between the years they were in college and the time they got occupations. And so when I wrote the first Jules book in 2006, I learned a lot about who these guys were as teenagers. I didn't know. And I thought I knew everything. I went to Howard, and at Howard University, we have the archive right there. So,
ladies and gentlemen, you see what just happened here. A Howard alum said he think he know everything. You heard it here. I'm just saying. Okay, continue, bro.
I'm just agreeing with the vice president. Okay. So I learned a lot about these guys that I didn't know, and so I was able to incorporate a lot of that into the story of the book. But there's so much more about these gentlemen that I know most brothers probably don't know. So there's a section called Did You Know? I'm also going to do a section of videos. Now, these videos will be depictions of certain scenes that most alphas probably are familiar with. Some of the meetings that they had prior to becoming a fraternity, some of the meetings they had afterwards, some of the conversations that they had, some of the banquet scene. I want to recreate some of these scenes as actual videos you can watch. And all of that will be in the app as well. So I'm trying to do a lot with this thing, trying to blow it up. There's no app like I did search. There's no app like this. I don't think any organization has an app like this, to be honest with you. So I'm excited about it. I'm really excited to get this information out, and to, for any brothers that might watch this, if you want to share about your chapter, please inbox me. Give me a fact about your chapter that I wouldn't know. I will include it in the app.
I was actually going to ask you to give us a fact about Beta Chapter that, like as if you haven't already told us all of the history of Beta Chapter on social media already. But give us a fact about Beta Chapter that we would not know, like something we can expect to come from the app.
Sure. So most people that follow music, that follow jazz music, follow R&B music, are familiar with Donny Hathaway.
Beta Chapter.
He plays the Beta Chapter. He has one of his most popular songs he sang as a duet with Roberta Flack. Donny Hathaway met Roberta Flack at Howard University. They were both students. Roberta Flack plays the Alpha Chapter. That's the same with Theta Sorority. He plays Alpha. They became friends after they crossed and began writing music together. And one of their biggest hits was a duet they sang together. but they met on campus through their organizations. A lot of brothers don't even know that he was an alpha, let alone, at Beta Chapter.
Now, just to show you Howard alum don't know everything, me being a music guy, that was a fact that I already knew. Now I don't. Now the question is, I'm really gonna get you. The question is, which hit are you referring to? Come ye disconsolate, or where's the love? Now I'm pretty sure it's where's the love. But
Where's
see
the
how
love?
yeah, okay. See how deep.
Well, alphas, we challenge each other.
That we do, and we clown each other a lot. I get steady. I get a lot of clowning from you, but that's okay. We hold each other accountable. We do.
There you go.
Those of you that might just be joining this live stream, thank you for joining us tonight, taking a little bit of your time. I have my brother, my sans, my number, Darrius Gourdine, who many of us think is the chief admin of the Spring 90 group. Because, brother, I have to hand it to you. I do not know how you sleep, and I will tell you why. The reason that I don't understand how you sleep is because you manage to keep track of everybody's birthday, everybody's anniversary. As somebody got promoted on the job, somebody got a new job, somebody had a kid, somebody's child graduate, somebody passed away. And then on top of that, you are promoting the jeweled books. You are promoting the paraphernalia and the Spring 90 shirts. And now you have this app. So, brother, I have to tell you, I'm just going to say this, and that this is just not me. This is not just me just being not me, hero worship. But of all the brothers that I have known in my 31 years in the organization, and you meet a lot of fantastic brothers who embody everything that Alpha Phi Alpha stands for. All the brothers I have met in the chapter, I can honestly say that when that time comes and you move on to Omega chapter, that you have made such a mark that all of these things, the books and the paraphernalia and the app, that you will be remembered along with the Dr. Kings and the numerous first African American politicians elected to office and things of that nature. I just from my personal standpoint, that is the mark that I see that you have made in the fraternity.
Well,
So I had to share that with you.
I appreciate that, man. I really love the organization. It's funny because I'll tell you a funny story. So when I came out for membership as a Howard student, I actually tried out for Spring '89, and my grades were not, where they should have been, and so I had to go back and come back stronger with my grades. Got my grades up, and I tried out again for Spring '90. So now,
I'm looking at you. You see how I'm looking at you? You know why?
Why? You the same thing?
I was at the University of Georgia my freshman year with our mutual sans brother Richard Glover. We knew him as Ricky Glover back home. We went to rival high schools in the whole nine, quiz bowl team, and they had a line that fall, and I was like, man, I got to do this. Let's go. I got to do this. Let's go. And one of Brother Glover's pro fights, Matrix Martin, was an RA in my dormitory. And I was talking to him, and he was like, hey man, we got smoker going on. You come on to the smoke. But my grades did not. My grades were not so great. So I got a letter at the end of the year from the University of Georgia saying, thank you for the tuition and the room and board, but you had to go someplace else and get your grades up before you can come back. So I went home and went to Armstrong, which at that point was Armstrong State College, which then became a university, which then became Armstrong Atlantic, which then became encompassed by Georgia Southern University that summer, and got my grades up, and then wound up at Savannah State. So maybe it was destined. You ever sometimes feel like you were destined to be on Spring 90?
I absolutely was, because got on the thing, and my special was 89, who I was tried out with before, gave me my line name, which is Shy, which is the singing group. Those are my line brothers. And so if you were to ask him, and he was in the group too, he was a singer. if you ask Mark, why'd you give Darrius the name Shy? He said that because Shy means destiny. That's what it means. And it's a long story behind what it means, but that's really what it means. And he told me that he always felt that I was destined to do something really special in Alpha. He said, I don't know what it's going to be, but I think you're going to do something big. He was probably thinking, general president or whatever. I'm not political. Like, that's not my avenue. But I am very social, and I'm a writer. So I just kind of followed my own lane, and here I am. So I think a lot of what I've done is based on what he has, my special mentored me into the organization and kind of gave me a kickstart. And in my opinion, I'm just getting started, to be honest with you. I want to do so many things before I kick the bucket and leave something for my son, who I hope follows in my footsteps. He's 9 years old now, but I've already got him in the cut, so we'll see what happens.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you what. If you are, I can't speak for this current generation, but those of us of a certain age, there was nothing else that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Period. My father came through Delta Eta chapter in 1965, which is another reason why I feel like maybe I was destined to go through spring 90 because I didn't do well my freshman year, even though I would have been LBs with my boy Rick. I wound up at Savannah State going through the same chapter my father went through 25 years after he crossed. And at that, and on top of that, our chapter advisor was a pearl of the chapter. So there was just, man, listen, Dr. Jackson was a man unlike any other. Rest in peace. Rest in peace, Doc. But that was all that I saw. So the fact that you are now taking all of this and everything that you have learned and gleaned from your time in the fraternity, and you are turning this into something that you can share with brothers is I can't really come up with a word for it. Impressive is the word that comes to mind. And that's the first word that comes to mind, because that last thing on my brain, I wouldn't have ever come up with a concept like that.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I love history. I love learning about. I've always been a lover of history before I even pledged. So finding out interesting facts about certain things has always been my, it gets me going. I like to read. I like to learn about a city. I like to travel I travel a lot. I want to learn the culture of the city I go to. I want to learn the people, the language, the accents, the food, the music that's here, whatever. So I like to learn stuff. And so when it came to the organization and learning the history beyond the general stuff, there's general information, and then there's let's go deep and find out some things about these guys. That really floats my boat. And so if I'm able to share that, especially because I meet so many brothers in my travels, young guys that only know what we teach them, and I want them to know so much more. There's so much more. There's so many brothers that, like you said, are impressive, are entrepreneurial, are exciting, can be your mentor, can be really help you get going in your career. It's just a matter of connecting with those brothers. And so there's so much to learn in the organization. So if I can facilitate that and help brothers just, learn stuff, have an appreciation for the rich history we have, then that's what I want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you gave me a fun fact about Beta chapter. I'm going to give you a twofer from Delta Eta. Okay. And it actually ties into Zeta Pi. And Brother Glover might know where I'm going. But Brother Glover, I'm going to need you to sit on this and let me finish the sentence. The first fun fact is, at the time that our chapter pearls were going through their process, we're pledging. We're pledging at Delta Eta chapter. They also were close friends. The chapter advisors at the time, Brother J.B. Clemens, being one of them, another esteemed brother in Alpha who is long gone on to Omega chapter. They were good friends with the Omega advisors, because the Qs had some guys, Alpha Gamma chapter, out there as well. And he got to talking. Don't ask me how they got him to talking or whatever. But somehow or another, the Qs let slip that they were taking their guys over on April 29th. So our chapter advisors hastily got together and made the decision to take our pearls over on April 28th, effectively making Delta Eta chapter the first Greek letter organization established on the campus of Savannah State University. To tie into that, my chapter advisor at the time, Pearl brother Dr. Prince Albert Jackson Jr., his line brother was a gentleman by the name of Clifford Hardwick. If that name is familiar to you, that is because his grandson, Omari, came through Zeta Pi chapter.
Mm-hmm.
So Delta Eta has ties to Zeta Pi through our Pearl's grandson.
Nice. That's a good one. That's a good one. I might have put that in the app.
I'm gonna let you have them two for free. Still need my $19.06. Ladies and gentlemen, those of you joining us, thank you for joining this live stream, having a discussion right now with my brother, Darrius Gourdine from Beta Chapter, Spring 1990. Tell him where you pledged that.
Howard University, the real HU, the first HU, the original HU since 1867. Howard University. Marching Bison, home of Vice President Kamala Harris, and so many other illustrious alumni. I can't even list them all.
Listen, y'all, until another college campus, HBCU campus, get somebody either become president or pope, we gonna hear this. I mean, it's gonna be our grandkids gonna be like, so what? My granddaddy went to school where the vice president went to school, and she's an AKA now.
Exactly.
So, gosh, man, look, I'd let you have that moment, and I just completely, I was getting ready to go on a Jones set on you, and I had to reel it in, reel it in. So the app launches on December 4th, and as you can see in the crawl across the bottom of the screen there, it's actually going that way there. It launches on December 4th, 2021. You can find it on the Google Play Store and the App Store. Now, what I have not mentioned is the fact that you also have, while I'm pulling it up, you also have a video ad.
Yes.
And with your acquiescence, I'd like to go ahead and share that with the good folks watching right now. So this is, ladies and gentlemen, this is the promo that Brother Gourdine from the real HU, home of Kamala Harris and the Marching Bison, blah, blah, blah. We know. We this is what he came up with. Coming December 4th, 2021, it's the new Alpha History app, the first and only app specifically dedicated to the learning of historical facts about Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. You will receive a historical fact about Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity every single Tuesday. These historical facts are about the 7 founders of Alpha, the chapters of Alpha, and about brothers of Alpha. You're guaranteed to learn something new about Alpha that you don't already know. You'll see exciting Alpha historical videos, answer fun and challenging Alpha questions, and see a Did You Know question in several places throughout the app. Whether you're a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated or simply interested in Alpha history, this app is definitely for you. Download the Alpha History app on December 4th, 2021, and get ready to learn something every single Tuesday. And there you have that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. That's that app. Hey, man, I like your narrator.
Yeah, man, that guy had a pretty good voice.
He did, didn't he? He did. He sounded real professional, kind of like a young James Earl Jones.
Right. But I called James, wasn't available, so I got you.
Gee, thanks. Thanks. I'm just playing. But Brother Gourdine came to me because I have some efforts of my own that I'm working on, and I do a lot of voiceover work as part of that effort. And he said, I'd love to have you to be a part of this. And I was like, all right, cool beans. I'm in. The Alpha
Yeah, I
Phi
appreciate
Alpha
that.
Victory app.
You did a great job on it. I appreciate that. You did a great job on it. So you know, very professional and good stuff. I see Brother Glover, Spring 90 Alpha. Brother Darrius is there. Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, these folks have a lot of love for you. Yes, hey, Rick, for real, seriously, just walk around talking really low like this all the time, and after a while, your voice will get there. Like, and I thought, look, I'm normally the guy that has the deepest voice out of anybody in the room, but I have a good brother of mine, got a son that's 18 years old, and he and I were video chatting the other day, and he walked up in the video and said, "Hey." He said, "Hey." He said, "Hey." He got excited, and he remembered he was 18. He was like, "How you doing, Mr. Handy?" I said, "Look here, boy, if you don't go on around from around here sounding like Barry White in the Secret Garden, tell me a secret. Go on around from here, John Coffey." So we've talked extensively at some length about the app.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you tell us a little something about some of your other pursuits that you have going on right now? Some of your other projects. Now we've already talked about the shirts, and those of you that are Spring 90, Darrius is probably connected to you through the group. All you got to do is hit his inbox. He will let you know. He does need 12 orders of each in order for those to ship. And I think you have any. I mean, he's got the short sleeves. He's got the
every hoodie, tank top, whatever.
Whatever you want. He can even put them on these. He's got the engraving. We talked about. There's another one that I did not mention, and I'm going to put that up here as well. I'm going to put up some of your. Lord have mercy, Jesus. There we go. That's what I'm looking for right there. I'm going to put up your info here where people can go and see where to get. There we go. He also makes Afghans. You have one of those hanging back?
Yeah,
if you don't have to run and get it, but if he can take any photo and put that on an Afghan, it's not exclusive to Greek organizations. He can do diplomas or family pictures. A lot of people have taken their line pictures and put them on there with the names all around the border with your line name on it, and they run about somewhere between a $125 and a $150, depending on what you want on it. Did I got that about right?
Yep, all right.
And then what I want to talk about now, we'll get back to the app in a minute. What I want to talk about right now is the books.
Okay.
These books. There have been many a book written about the founding of Alpha Phi Alpha itself, but none of them have been told from the perspective in a dramatization of the jewels themselves. So what was your inspiration to go, I wonder what George Biddle Kelly said to CC Poindexter in the first meeting, or I wonder what these guys said when they were planning, how they came up with the fraternity colors and things like that. So break a little bit of that down.
Yeah. So it was in 2004, and I was literally praying for an idea. I said, God, I want an idea. I want something different. I want to do something different. And I just felt like it was pressed upon my spirit to write something. And so my inspiration is actually interesting because one of my favorite movies is the movie Hook. Now, Hook is a story.
That's a good one.
Hook's a story of Peter Pan. However, and most of us know the story of Peter Pan. He flies around, comes and gets Wendy and John and her brothers, whatever. Every summer they would go from London to Neverland and fight the pirates and all this stuff. But the reason why I liked Hook so much is because it's a very, very familiar story. It's just told in a different way. Because in the story that Steven Spielberg did, Peter grows up, which is unlike any other depiction of this cartoon or this fairy tale. And so in him growing up, he gets married, he has a family, and he forgets who he is. He forgets that he's Peter Pan. He forgets how to fly. He forgets how to fight. He forgets how to crow. He forgets how to use his imagination. So Captain Hook kidnaps his children, Peter's children. Peter then has to go back to Neverland to rescue his children. But in doing so, he has to relearn all the things that made his childhood what it was. And so they told the Peter Pan story from a different perspective. So my thing with the Jules books was, like I said, most alphas know their history. You ask most alphas some general historical questions, they'll probably get the answers right. But I wanted to tell the history book from a different perspective, because the history book is written in documentary form. You know, on this day, they made this decision. On that day, they had this banquet. On this night, they had this meeting. That's documentary form based on dates. I try to weave conversations through these different events. And of course, it's creative license because I wasn't there, but I basically try to connect the dots, you know, and give brothers the story from a different perspective. So what inspired me was Steven Spielberg. The fact that he is a storyteller like I am, but he likes to tell stories from a different angle. And that's what I wanted to do. So I wrote the first book. I had no intention of making it a series. And when it came out, it did so well that the brothers were like, okay, you got to do a part 2. You played the beta chapter. How you going to do part 2? So I did a part 2. And I was done. I was fine with that. I was going to stop right there. Because what I didn't want to do is, okay, I'm on number 19 now. Number 19 coming next year. I didn't want to keep going down the line. Then it gets corny. But I was in Pittsburgh. So the first book comes out in 2006 at our centennial. The second book, which is the story of the beta chapter and gamma chapter, comes out in 2011. So it's 5 years later. Now we're in 2015, and I was in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at a regional convention, and I had the 2 books on the table. And normally when you go to convention on day number 1, no one really buys anything. They're just kind of looking around to see what the products are, you know. But day 2, 3, 4, everyone's buying your products, okay? So I'm at the convention, and we're on day 3, 4, and nobody's buying anything from me. I'm like, what in the world's going on? So I began to ask brothers, why aren't y'all buying the books? Y'all don't want them? And every brother I asked was like, we got those already. We already have both your books. You got to write a new one. So I sat there in Pittsburgh like, I don't want to do a 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So if I do a third book, it has to be different. So I literally sat there and got the idea, what if I brought the founders back to life? And we had a conversation with them. And what if I grabbed some actual brothers and put them in the story? So I'm sitting there thinking this thing in my head. And as I'm thinking, Bob Jones walks by. Now, Robert Jones is our national historian. So I said, Brother Jones, let me ask you a question. If I wrote a book about the founders and put actual brothers in the story, would you be willing to be a part of that story? He said, sure, I would. That sounds like a great idea. I'd do it. Sure. He walks away. The next brother that walks up is Brother Daryl Matthews, who was our 32nd General President. I said, Brother Matthews, let me ask you a question. If I wrote a book with the founders in the book and some actual brothers, would you be willing to be in the story? He said, would I be the only General President? I said, yes, sir. He said, then put me in. So he could say, so I began to literally ask brothers, and I wanted to get young and old. So I wanted to get East Coast, West Coast, Midwest. I got a brother from the West Coast who at the time was a student. He was the regional, assistant vice president for the Western region. I put him in the story. I got Sean McCaskill, who was our Sand Spring 90. He was the Eastern regional vice president. I put him in. So I got brothers from different, walks of life and put them all in the story. So now I got a 3-book set. So that's kind of where that whole thing came from. And then last year I capped it all off by doing the hardbound version, took all 3 paperback versions, combined them into one, which is the hardbound, which comes in the gift box, which is this thing. The hardbound comes in the box, has the faces of all the founders on each corner of it with a quote. And when you open it up, it's got the quotes on the inside, because we do have 7. So I had 7 areas to put them in, and the book sits right in here. So this is a nice, coffee table edition. It's good for your Alpha library. But that's what basically I've been doing over the last, I don't know, almost 20 years now.
I'm trying to let that stand up.
You put up,
I can't. We can't let Alpha touch the ground. So
right.
And if you buy a book, he will autograph it to my brothers Sands and Jewel Number Fingers. My man Anthony, enjoy the Jewel's journey. And this is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Well done and well put together. I get tired sometimes watching you.
I get tired of being me.
Seriously, I get tired sometimes watching you. And then in the middle of all of that, you managed to somehow organize a fitness movement last year during COVID. You inspired one of our Sands so much. That brother started walking like Forrest Gump, and he's been walking every day since then. Our good Omega Sands brother, Sheldon Shank.
Yeah.
That brother is walking every day. Like this guy, seriously, this guy is like Stephen King and Steve Jobs and Elon Musk, and you just roll all of that up into what's the motivational speaker? Tony Roberts, all rolled up into one. I mean, just busy, always got stuff going on. I think you did an Easter program one year. I did a voiceover for.
Yeah, that's right. You sure did. That's right.
You keep it moving, bro. I don't know. I mean, tell me your secret, because we are the same age. We got to be at least close. Because everybody that pledged had to be at least 18 at the time they pledged when we all went over. At a minimum of 18, because some chapters did take freshmen. So everybody had to at least be a minimum of 18. So that means at max at 31 years, if you were younger than I am, that would make you 49. And if you older than I am, that make you at least 52. So
you see these white hairs, right?
Oh, you see mine too. Mine won't grow as pretty as yours. I've been trying to grow. I've been trying to grow mine out. My beard is like, hell no, to the no. But is what it is.
I'm very passionate, about anything I do, not just with Alpha. I mean, if I'm gonna get in it, I'm gonna get in it, and so I'm very driven. I don't sleep much, which is not good. I wouldn't suggest that, but that's just how I've always been. I was writing stories as a kid. I used to handwrite stories as a child, and my father was a storyteller, and my grandfather's a storyteller. So I just figured out how to sell it, but I'm passionate about certain things, and I'm just very driven, I love people. I love meeting people. So getting to travel to different Alpha events is what I love, meeting young brothers who just crossed and signing books for them and, encouraging them. Every convention I go to, everyone I go to, it's like brothers will approach me and I can tell how old they are based on how they speak to me, because they'll say, oh man, I saw you on Facebook. So I'll know they're 35 or older. 5 minutes later, oh man, I saw you on YouTube. I'll know they're 34 or younger. But then there's always some fraternity, and he comes to my table and he sees the book and he really, really wants it, but he can't afford it. I tell you, this is every convention. And just as some older brother walks up and says, hey man, I'm gonna go ahead and buy for this brother. Go ahead and sign it for him. I got you, Darrius. And I'll tell that brother, hey man, look, you see what he's doing for you? I'm gonna need you to do the same thing years from now when you can. It might not be a book, but I need you to reach back and pour into another young brother, just as he's pouring into you right now. And they always promise, I will, brother. I want to do that, And so that's why I do this. It's like I really want to make those connections, and I want us to get back to a love of our history. I don't ever want to get far away from, because we're getting into, at one point our centennial was a big deal. Like, oh my God, we're approaching 100 years. Well, that
Right.
was 20 years ago. Now everybody's 100. Every org's hitting 100 at this point. So it's like,
Except for our junior brothers.
well, they'll get to it eventually.
They still they got about what 42 more years.
Right. We'll still be here. Well, I don't know. But
I'm just saying.
but I don't want to get so far away from the genesis of it that we forget. And so I want to leave something, and just thinking about what an app is, everyone has apps on their phone. You download apps all the time. And so, I said, if I could develop this app and put it out there, now I'm reaching a lot more people than I would at a convention, or I would in a certain city. It's on your phone. It's every Tuesday. I'm never going to miss a Tuesday. I'm going to drop something that you probably don't know, and you're going to say, "Oh man, I didn't know that." You're going to look at your phone and you're going to say, "Wow, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Oh gosh, I'm going to share that one with my coworkers. I'm gonna keep this in my back pocket. So if I argue or debate about alpha, I got one now." So these are facts that you probably don't know, and I'm just excited about it.
Yeah, that's the thing that I like as far as with the history of the D9 is when I get an opportunity to share the history with someone who's not been exposed. I'll say it to our Caucasian brothers and sisters. And it's like, well, wow, I never saw that fraternity at my college. So, well, what is yours? So, well, it's the first fraternity, African American intercollegiate fraternity, founded at Cornell University. And then, well, why would you want to join? And the first thing in their mind, the 2020 brain, well, why didn't they just join okay, our fraternity was founded in 1906. We couldn't at that point. So
Right.
we came up with our own. And then the concept behind how it was a study group and a support group that evolved into. It was like, well, hey, what if we turn this into a fraternity? So, and I love the whole story behind just the meetings and everything and how that first book ended. Follow me, initiates. But here, listen, I have a question I need to ask you. And
Yes, sir.
it's a question that's been on my brain for a while and probably has been on the minds of a lot of people that either follow you on social media or know you through YouTube or from the conventions or your many ventures. And that is, when are we getting the next assignment book, sir?
So the assignment book part 5 is coming. I'm trying to get that out for Christmas. But what's really taken away from my time in writing is I got my hands in too many things. I have a new project out now with some alphas out in St. Louis. They called me out of the blue. I didn't know these guys. They called me and said, "Hey, I know you're the author, and we've been talking about doing our chapter history as a book for years. Every homecoming, we get together and talk about it. So this year we decided to call you and really get this project started because some of our charter members are passing away and they're older now." So I said, "Well, look, I'll do you one better. I got a cousin who's a filmmaker. Why don't you get both of us to come out there to St. Louis? I'll write a book. He'll do a film." And so went out there. They flew us out there and we sat down with the brothers, and really interesting chapter because the campus is an engineering school. And so all the brothers are engineers. And so I see Kimberly Brandt. It's a great question. All the brothers are engineers. And so it makes for a very unique chapter experience when everyone is an engineer. And so that film is going to be launching in April. If we're on schedule, that's taken out a lot of my time, but I'm trying to get the assignment out for Christmas. We'll see if that happens or not, but that's my goal.
Okay. Well, because now I this is the part where I'll save you some of the talking. If any of you have not read the assignment is basically I want you to imagine, if you will, you die, you immediately wake up in hell, and you find out that there is an agency in hell, and the entire purpose of you working for the agency is for you to bring other souls to hell. And that's about all I can give you without giving away too many plot twists or anything like that. There is some great debate as to whether or not your protagonist is a member of a D9 organization, and that question has been asked about 100 times. So I guess at some point maybe you'll address that question.
Maybe. But yeah, when you said plots and twists and turns, that story got some plot
twists and turns for days. Like,
yes.
I love to read, so I'm a fast reader. I put it to you like this: you put out 4 books, and they're not small books. I think it may have taken me a grand total of an hour to read all 4. That's how fast.
No, an hour.
I read like that, bro.
God dang.
I read like that. Like, if I get into a book, I can just sit as long. Now, here's some things that have to happen in order for that to happen. Wife got to be asleep. Wife has to be asleep. It has to be late enough that anybody from work will call me with no problems. Kids got to be out doing stuff, things like that. Or the wife is out doing some, like, everybody in the house is out, and I just got time. I will sit down, and generally I will crack that book. If I get it in the mail that day, I will wait until everybody in the house is asleep, and I will crack that book and I will blow through it.
Well, for all y'all who are watching right now who are waiting on part 5, it is coming. I promise you it's coming. If you've never heard of it, and it's an extremely interesting story, you can visit the website. It's IamAssigned.com.
I wish I thought to ask you that earlier. We're gonna put that in the crawl.
Yeah,
so down in the crawl. So, because you have like 12 websites. Why don't you just get one website, put everything on one website? Got me chasing you around here. I'm gonna keep Cat Williams in. I'm gonna keep Cat Williams back there because Cat will come out to play sometimes. Let's see here. IamAssigned.com.
Yep, IamAssigned.com. I saw a few of my friends comment. I saw Leona comment. Leona is a Spring 91 Zeta from Howard University. She was my publicist when I first branched out into being a writer. So she kind of helped me navigate the publishing process and getting off the ground with book signings. And I had no idea how to do any of that stuff. And Leona is the ultimate marketer. And so shout out to Leona, Alpha Chapter Zeta Phi Beta. I saw her comment earlier.
Thank you, Leona, for helping our brother navigate that. Yes, and Brother Glover makes a good point. Do you have a link tree?
A link tree?
It's a website that basically you go to this website, you put in all your different websites, and when you do your little when you do your blurbs on your videos and your posts, you just put up one link and it takes people to everything. It takes you, they can look on there.
Yeah, when I formed the actual business, that's the one I've been working on, but then it took a back seat to the Afghan website. I wanted to get that one out. Got the Afghan website out, and then I had to get the Africa travel website out, got that out. So now that I got those 2 done, the next one will be the umbrella organization, which will have all my stuff.
You just mentioned Africa, which just popped up another memory of something that you've been a part of. Those of you that are watching, especially the Spring 90s, the folks that played like in the 80s and the 90s, we all remember Step Africa. Darrius was a member of that Step team. And y'all traveled for quite some time too, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. So I joined Step Africa in 1999 and I performed until 2006. And with the group, I went to Brazil, I went to Mozambique, I went to South Africa 4 times with the group. And when I went to South Africa with the group and performed, I fell in love with the culture of South Africa. Johannesburg, Cape Town, Pretoria, Bafokeng. I just fell in love with the entire thing. And so when I finished performing, I began doing trips, doing tours for folks that wanted to go. I'll take them over show them the touristy things, the Nelson Mandela tours and things like that. And so we just did one last year for Spring 90, our 30th anniversary. So I took 11 people, well, include myself, 11 people. We went over there, and it was great. It was an amazing experience. And so we did 4 days in Cape Town, 6 days in Johannesburg, did all the touristy type stuff, and just really, really had a good time. And so shout out to my profile, C. Brian Williams, who was the founder of Step Africa. And they're doing phenomenal stuff now. Oh, man. They were on Broadway. They did a Broadway run in New York. I mean, they're everywhere now. They just did a performance yesterday to honor the Little Rock Nine, the 9 African-American students that desegregated the school in Arkansas. So Step Africa did a tribute to them a couple of days ago, like 2 days ago. So they're doing some major, major things. So if you've never heard of Step Africa, look at the website. It's stepafrica.org, Africa spelled with a K. But I'm one of the original performance members. Step Africa is a group that highlights and showcases the art form of stepping. So where stepping came from, what's the history behind stepping in terms of the collegiate fraternal sorority, genesis of the art form. And then its ties to certain cultures in Africa, certain dance forms, certain, genres and things of that nature. And so their performance is phenomenal. If Step Africa ever comes to your city, get a ticket, take your kids. They will love the show. It is amazing what they do now. When I went to when they were on Broadway, my cast that I performed with, we all went to opening night. And we hadn't been together in 11 years. It had been that long since we had been in the same room together. And we get to New York, and I'm in the balcony watching the show. And I was like, I used to do this. I mean, these cats, they're physical. I mean, these cats can just go. And the choreography is just amazing. So if Step Africa comes to your town, go see the show. You would love it.
You have a question here. Isn't Step Africa featured at the Smithsonian African American Museum?
Yes. So at the at the museum in Washington, D.C., the African American Museum, they have this huge platform where it's like a screen, right? It's like 4 panels. And when you step in front of the panels, it turns on. I mean, it's huge. And so when it turns on, it's a big video production where a girl comes on the screen and she says, "Hi, I'm so-and-so from Step Africa." And the team shows up and they walk you through stepping and they teach you how to step. And it's a hologram. So as you're moving and making movements, your image in front of you is doing what you're doing. So you're following along with the steps.
And they have something like that at the Science Museum here in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So in DC, they have that, and the kids love it. I went there, and I was just I was so emotional in seeing, because I remember when we were on tour, and I mean, packed in a van with our drums and our clothes, and I mean, just peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the back of the van. I remember all those early days. So to see where they are now, it's just amazing to me. And I'm just so glad that I was a part of it when I was.
You mentioned African culture and how some of the stepping came from African culture. It is reminiscent of some of the tribal dances that I have seen, but there's a group that comes to mind that has sort of combined stepping, dancing, and singing at the same time. That always comes to mind when I think of something like that, and that is a Ladysmith Black Mambazo. And right. I mean, they have incorporated all of it now. And it's my understanding that the brothers that founded the group, I think they have both passed on, but you right there with you on that.
Yeah. And that's what it's about. It's body percussion, it's singing, and really it's a celebration, because if you look at the history of stepping and what stepping was, stepping is a way to show pride in your group, your organization. So you would go in the yard or campus or whatever, and you would step after you studied.
Of course.
Study was first, but you would step with your brothers and your sisters.
They feel about the 80s and the 90s, and then we won't speak ill of any of our brethren or sisters, but we know it's some folk that we don't see until homecoming.
Right.
Until homecoming, and step show be like, man, Did you graduate 6 years ago?
Yeah, it's the nature of people. But yeah, so it started with there, and it's just to show pride. And so it's been a great ride that I was on. I did it for 7 years. Yeah, I mean, changed my life. I probably would have never gone to Africa if it hadn't been for the group. And now I try to go every year, and just awesome, awesome, awesome. Everyone should because the media depiction of Africa here in the United States is awful. They won't show you some of the things you'll see if you ever visit the country.
Oh no.
And when I show pictures and videos of my trips, people can't even believe me. They can't even believe that's Africa. Yes, that's Africa.
Yes, everybody in Africa is not like Ace Ventura when nature calls. It's just not everybody's not like that.
It's crazy. So that's why I like to bring people over there so they can experience and learn some stuff. Once again, I'm a teacher of history, and so I like to, get my hands dirty in it. Let's chop it up. Let's exchange culture. And that's what Step Africa was about, and that's what my app is about. That's what the Jules books is about. Everything is about exchanging cultures and sharing what's important to us.
Yep. So, man, Brother Gourdine, I want to thank you for your time because there's an hour time difference between he and I. I'm in the Central Time Zone. He's on the East Coast, and it is currently 11:15 on the East Coast. And I know you like I have to get up and go to work tomorrow and have a family to look after. So I just want to thank you for taking time out of your. Let me make sure I got that one right there. Taking time out of your busy schedule. Yes, sir. To join us this evening. I'm here with this, ladies and gentlemen. This brother, he does it all. I mean, it won't be too terribly much longer before he figures out a way to offer an IPO for his company, and he'll be selling stock and things of that nature. And I'll be one of the first ones lined up to buy some because the one thing I know from you is that you will put in the work to make it successful. And if you don't know how, you'll find somebody to help you know how. So thank you for taking the time tonight to share with us about the Alpha History app, about the Jules books, about the paraphernalia, and all the different things that you have brought to the table. I actually have to say this again, not hero worship. You were somewhat the inspiration for me putting together the Zagnif Productions, which
Right.
if I hadn't started, we would not be having this conversation right now. So, thank you for almost 20 some odd years of friendship and mentorship. Although you all would not think this to watch us exchange, pleasantries here. We have known each other since about 2000, what, 5 or 6?
Probably, yeah.
And we have not met face to face yet.
Never met.
He has met my son, but we
Yeah.
have not met face to face. He was doing a book signing in Atlanta, and my son was a student at Oglethorpe University at the time, getting ready to graduate. But we have not met face to face. You met about 2-3 of my LBs even. So
yeah.
we're gonna have to, once things ease up a little bit, we're gonna have to rectify that. Or you might just have to,
Actually, I meant to tell you, I got a invitation to speak in Oklahoma from some brothers out there in February. They called and said, was I available? Black History Month. And they want to do
February?
Yeah. They want to do an Alpha History event, and they want to bring me out. And so I don't have the details yet, but it's Oklahoma City.
You're going to have to go off the air who you spoke with, because
if
it was Oklahoma and it's Oklahoma City, then that's Beta Eta Lambda. That's my chapter. So
I'll let you know, because I forgot to mention that to you a couple of days ago. That came in last week.
Kimberly, thank you so much. And thanks. You know what? See, I'm so busy talking with you. I didn't even do my own promotion. If you like what you're seeing here, listen, I have music, original music, and a few skits and some things that I have done of my own that are part of the YouTube page here, the Mr. Fingers YouTube page. That is my musical alter ego, because, and so for those of you that were thinking in the opposite direction, Jesus is coming for y'all, and he don't like that. But but please go ahead, like and subscribe. Also, there is another page where we will be posting all of the podcasts and broadcasts and things of that nature. I separated that from my personal page. That is Zagnif Productions. That is ZAGNIF Productions. It's I forget what they call it when you run the word backwards. I did like Oprah. Oprah got Harpo. Fingers got Zagnif. So go back to that page and like and subscribe to that page as well. And don't forget to keep up with Brother Darrius. On behalf of Brother Darrius and myself, thank you for sharing your time with us tonight, ladies and gentlemen. December 4th, 2021 on the App Store and Google Play, the Alpha History app. Go get it. Go to www.jules1906.com. If you know an alpha or you're just interested in the history, just go ahead and get yourself the hardcover book. Go to IamAssigned.com. Get those books. Go to GreekGans.com and get yourself some Afghans. I think I covered all of it. Did I miss anything?
You got it all, brother.
All right, then. Well, we're going to say goodnight for the evening. We appreciate y'all. Brother G, hang tight after we sign off here. I'm going to hit y'all with the promo one more time. And y'all have a good night.
Thank you, man.
You are very welcome. Don't go anywhere. We're going to chop it up a little bit after we get off of here. I got to find
where's the video? Now, see, this is the problem. This is why you cannot work with black people, because they will not have their stuff organized.
Here you go.
Coming December 4th, 2021, it's the new Alpha History app, the first and only app specifically dedicated to the learning of historical facts about Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. You will receive a historical fact about Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity every single Tuesday. These historical facts are about the 7 founders of Alpha, the chapters of Alpha, and about brothers of Alpha. You're guaranteed to learn something new about Alpha that you don't already know. You'll see exciting Alpha historical videos, answer fun and challenging Alpha questions, and see a Did You Know question in several places throughout the app. Whether you're a member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated or simply interested in Alpha history, this app is definitely for you. Download the Alpha History app on December 4th, 2021, and get ready to learn something every single Tuesday.